You've tried the screen time limits. You set them on a Sunday night. 2 hours max, hard cutoff. This time you mean it. By Tuesday afternoon you were tapping "Ignore limit" before the notification even finished sliding down. Your thumb moved faster than your conscience. You've tried grayscale mode. It worked for about 3 days. Then your brain adjusted and you scrolled in black and white with the exact same intensity. You've tried the app deletions. Instagram, gone. TikTok, gone. Within 6 days you were watching the same content through your browser. Same rabbit holes. Just with a worse interface and a URL bar reminding you how creative your addiction gets when you corner it. You've tried the phone in another room trick. You lasted one evening before you got up at 10:47 p.m. to check something important that wasn't important at all. Every strategy, every app, every article, and every single time you ended up in the same place. Lying in bed at midnight, scrolling through content you don't even want. Feeling that specific defeat that only comes from losing a fight you've already lost 100 times. And after every failed attempt, the same feeling. Not anger at the phone. Something quieter and worse. It sounds like, "What is wrong with me?" The shame of someone who understands the problem, has every tool available and still can't stop. You're not carrying screen time guilt. You're carrying the weight of repeated failure against something that shouldn't be this hard. So let me tell you something I need you to actually let land. You didn't fail. The strategy failed. Every approach you've ever tried shares one thing in common. It targets the phone. Limit the phone. Block the phone. Hide the phone. Remove the phone. And every single one collapsed for the same reason. The phone was never the problem. It was always the most convenient solution to a problem you haven't looked at yet. And until you look at that problem, you could throw your phone off a bridge and you'd find another screen within 48 hours. Or a fridge. Or a bottle. Or a shopping cart at 1 a.m. The vehicle changes. The destination doesn't. This video isn't giving you another phone strategy. I'm done with those and I think you are too. What I'm going to show you is what's actually underneath the behavior. The thing behind the screen time that nobody addresses because it's harder to face than a settings menu. And then I'm going to give you a protocol for that. Not for your phone, for you. Let me ask you something that might seem unrelated. Have you ever opened the fridge when you weren't hungry? Bought something online at 11 p.m. you didn't need? Started a new show when there was something on your desk that actually needed your attention? Does any of that feel familiar to the way you pick up your phone? Because it should. The fridge, the cart, the new show, the phone, they're all exit doors. Emergency exits from the same room. And the room you keep leaving is whatever you're feeling that you don't want to feel. In clinical psychology, there's a term for this. Distress intolerance. Dr. Matthew Tull at the University of Toledo and Dr. Kim Gratz's research on emotion regulation describe it as a reduced capacity to tolerate negative internal states, boredom, anxiety, loneliness, restlessness, shame, even mild discomfort that doesn't have a name yet. People with low distress tolerance compulsively reach for immediate relief. Some eat, some drink, some shop, some scroll. The form is different. The function is identical. Escape the feeling now, consequences later. Your phone isn't a unique addiction. It's the most socially acceptable, most instantly available escape hatch ever built. It didn't win because it's the most pleasurable. It won because it's the most frictionless. Zero cost, zero judgment, zero delay, always in your pocket. And here's why. Just put your phone down never works long term. When you remove the escape hatch without addressing the distress underneath, your brain doesn't stop looking for an exit. It reroutes. Delete Instagram? YouTube fills the gap. Lock your phone? Your laptop appears. Lock everything? You'll eat something you don't need. Or lie in bed replaying a conversation from 3 years ago. The behavior shapeshifts because the need underneath hasn't been touched. You blocked one door in a building with 100. Trying to fix phone addiction by removing the phone is like fixing a toothache by throwing away the mirror. You can't see it anymore. But the nerve is still exposed. The phone wasn't causing the ache. It was showing you, every time you reached for it, exactly where the nerve was. The reach is the diagnosis. Stop treating it like the disease. Think about the last time you picked up your phone for no reason. No notification. No purpose. Just reach, unlock, scroll. Now think about the half second before your hand moved. Were you between tasks? Sitting in a quiet room? Feeling something you couldn't quite name? That micro moment of internal discomfort before your hand moved. That's the entire mechanism. Everything after it is just delivery. In problem-solving theory, there's something called a decoy problem. A visible, obvious issue that absorbs all your energy while the actual root cause operates underneath, untouched. The decoy feels like the problem. It looks like the problem. You can measure it, track it, set goals around it. But solving it changes nothing because it was never the source. It was the symptom wearing the source's name tag. Your phone is the decoy. Screen time is the decoy. They're measurable and external, which is exactly what makes them seductive as targets. Your brain wants to solve the screen time problem because it's concrete, something you can graph. The real problem, why can't I sit with 30 seconds of silence without reaching for an exit, is abstract and internal. So your brain fixates on the measurable version and ignores the real one. Dr. Larry Rosen's research at California State University found that even after structured digital detox programs, the majority of participants returned to baseline phone usage within 2 to 4 weeks. Not because the detox failed mechanically, people successfully reduced screen time. But without addressing the underlying emotional regulation deficit, the behavior returned. Because the need returned. It's like holding your breath underwater. Willpower works for a while, but the need for air isn't optional. And the need to escape emotional discomfort is just as hardwired. So from this point forward, stop asking, "How do I use my phone less?" and start asking, "What am I feeling in the moment before I reach for it?" Those aren't two versions of the same question. They're two different doors. One keeps you in the decoy loop. The other takes you to the source. And the source has solutions that don't require you to fight your own brain 200 times a day. Try this right now. Think of 3 times this past week when you used your phone compulsively. The one where you scrolled for 40 minutes and felt worse after. For each one, try to remember what was happening before, what you were feeling, what you were avoiding. If you're honest, you'll find that each time there was something, a feeling, a silence, a thought you didn't want to finish. I've spent a long time talking to people about their phone habits, and what I've learned is that the compulsive pickup is never random. There's always a trigger, and the triggers fall into a surprisingly small number of patterns. See if you recognize yours. The 11 p.m. lonely. You're in bed. Day's over. The apartment is quiet. That specific kind of quiet that only shows up when there's nobody else there. And instead of sleeping, you scroll. Not because the content is interesting. Most of it isn't, and you know it while you're watching it. You scroll because silence at 11 p.m. is when loneliness stops being background noise and becomes a sound you can hear. The phone fills the room with other people's voices, so you don't have to sit with the absence of anyone in yours. The Sunday void. It's mid-afternoon. Nothing is wrong, but nothing feels right either. There's this low-grade emptiness, not sadness, not boredom, something in between that doesn't have a clean label. A feeling like the day should mean something, and it just doesn't. You open your phone and 2 hours evaporate because 2 hours of stimulation is easier than 10 minutes of asking yourself why Sundays feel hollow. The transition anxiety. You finished something. The next thing requires you to start, to decide. to engage. But between the ending and the beginning, there's a gap. And in that gap, a tiny wave of resistance shows up. Not panic, just enough friction to make starting feel heavy. The phone appears in your hand before you consciously decided to pick it up. It's not procrastination. It's anxiety medication with a touch screen. The Confrontation Dodge. There's a conversation you need to have. A decision you're putting off. You know it's there. You can feel its weight when the room gets quiet. And every time your thoughts drift toward it, you redirect to a feed, a video, anything that drowns out the thought. You're not addicted to your phone. You're allergic to the thought it keeps interrupting. The Sunday void. That's mine. I didn't find it in a textbook. I found it at 4 p.m. on a Sunday in March, lying on my couch with my phone on my chest, 90 minutes into a scroll I didn't remember starting. I put the phone down, and the quiet hit me like cold water. Not sadness, not boredom. Something worse. The feeling that the day should have meant something and it didn't. I'd spent 3 hours consuming other people's moments to avoid sitting with the emptiness of my own. And instead of letting that feeling run its course, instead of giving it 90 seconds to say what it needed to say, I picked the phone back up. It took me another 6 months to let that feeling finish its sentence. Dr. Stephen Hayes, the creator of acceptance and commitment therapy, calls this experiential avoidance, the habitual attempt to escape unwanted internal experiences. His decades of research show it doesn't work. The feeling you avoid doesn't go away. It waits. And every time you escape into the phone, the feeling becomes slightly more intolerable the next time. Because you've trained your nervous system that this feeling is dangerous enough to run from. You're not weakening the discomfort by scrolling. You're teaching your brain it's unbearable. Each escape makes the next one more urgent. You know which of those patterns is yours. Maybe more than one. Maybe it shifts by the day or the hour. But right now, you can probably name the feeling you scroll away from most often. And the fact that you can name it means something. It's not invisible anymore. Once it's visible, it stops being a shapeless threat in the dark and becomes something you can actually look at. So now you see the real problem. Not the phone, the feeling. Not screen time. Emotional escape time. The question left is, how do you learn to stay with the feeling instead of running? Because your capacity to tolerate discomfort has been quietly eroded by years of instant relief sitting 6 inches from your hand, you need to rebuild it. And rebuilding starts with the smallest possible dose of stillness. If something just shifted in the way you're seeing this, leave a like. Not for the algorithm speech, because that signal tells me this kind of content is worth making more of. Every phone addiction approach you've tried asked you to do less of something. Less screen time, less scrolling, less checking. And your brain processed every one of those as deprivation, something being taken away. Of course it pushed back. What I'm about to show you doesn't ask you to do less of anything. It asks you to build something. A capacity you were born with that got worn down by years of instant escape. Think of it like a muscle you haven't used in a long time. It's not gone, it's weakened. And you can rebuild it without downloading a single app. Dr. Jill Bolt Taylor, a Harvard-trained neuroanatomist, described something that should change how you relate to every uncomfortable feeling you've ever had. When an emotion is triggered, anxiety, loneliness, shame, restlessness, the chemical process in your body lasts approximately 90 seconds. That's it. The cortisol surge, the tightness in your chest, the restless buzzing in your hands. It peaks and begins to dissolve in under 2 minutes. If you let it, the reason feelings seem to last for hours is because you reignite them. By ruminating on them, fighting them, or escaping from them, and re-encountering them later, now amplified, because you taught your brain they were too dangerous to face. So here's the first tool. The 90-second rule. Next time you feel the compulsive urge to reach for your phone, not the casual check, the real one, don't pick it up. Stay where you are. And instead of fighting the urge, describe what's happening inside you like a weather report. My hands feel restless. There's a pull in my chest. My jaw is tighter than I realized. Don't breathe through it. Don't meditate. Just watch. Around 30 seconds in, your fingers might start drumming on your thigh. You'll become weirdly aware of your own swallowing. The urge will spike around second 40 or 50, like a wave pulling back before it crests. Then, somewhere around 90 seconds, it starts to thin, not vanish. Thin. The volume drops from a 9 to a 4. And that experience, surviving the wave without reaching for the exit, is what rewires the pattern. Every time you ride those 90 seconds, you prove to your nervous system the feeling won't kill you. The next wave comes in smaller. The second tool is the trigger journal. Any notebook. A sticky note. The back of a receipt. Every time you catch yourself reaching for your phone compulsively, or surface from a 10-minute scroll you didn't mean to start, write 3 words. What you were feeling before the phone appeared. Bored after lunch. Anxious about email. Lonely Sunday night. 3 words. Done. After 1 week, read them together. Patterns will surface that you've never seen, because you've always tracked the behavior and never tracked the feeling. You might find 60% of your compulsive usage clusters between 9 p.m. and midnight, tagged lonely or restless. That's not a phone problem. That's a loneliness problem wrapped in a phone-shaped bandage. Once you see the pattern, the phone stops being the enemy and becomes an alarm system. Every compulsive urge pointing you to exactly which emotion needs attention. The third tool is graduated exposure. Your capacity to sit with discomfort has been systematically weakened. You can't leap from where you are now to sitting in silence for an hour. That's asking someone who hasn't walked in a year to run a marathon. Instead, microdoses. Week 1. Choose one daily moment where you currently use your phone as filler. Waiting for coffee, riding an elevator, sitting in a parked car. Endure it without the phone. 2 minutes. Feel the itch. Let it pass. Week 2. Add a second moment. Extend the first to 5 minutes. Week 3. Add a 10-minute block of sacred silence. Sit or walk with 0 input. No phone, no music, no podcast. Just you and whatever shows up. By week 4, the discomfort stops feeling like deprivation. It starts feeling like space, breathing space, the kind your brain hasn't had in years. Notice what just happened. You walked in thinking you had a phone problem. Now you can see it's a discomfort tolerance problem, and the phone was the cheapest painkiller available. The 90-second rule shows you feelings are survivable waves. The trigger journal reveals the emotional patterns your phone was hiding. Graduated exposure rebuilds the muscle that years of instant escape wore down. You're not fighting the phone anymore. You're rebuilding the thing that made you need it. And that's a fight you can win. Because it runs on 90 seconds of honesty at a time. I'm not going to review the protocol. You heard it. You know the 90 seconds. You know the 3 words. You know the graduated exposure. But before you close this video, when the phone is down, the room is quiet, and there's nothing between you and your own thoughts. What shows up? Not the label, the specific thing. Is it the career you keep postponing? The relationship you're staying in out of comfort? Or the one you're not pursuing out of fear? The conversation you've rehearsed 80 times in the shower but never once had out loud? That thing is what your phone has been protecting you from, not because it's unbearable, but because your brain decided scrolling was easier than sitting with it. And every day since, the distance between you and that feeling has grown a little wider. Tonight, before bed, put your phone in another room. Not as a detox challenge, not as a test of discipline, as a quiet experiment. Lie in bed with nothing. No screen, no audio, no book. And pay attention to the first feeling that arrives. It'll show up faster than you expect. Maybe within 30 seconds. When it comes, don't fix it. Don't analyze it. Don't run. Just notice it. Say its name in your head. There you are. That's it. That's the beginning. Not of a phone detox, of meeting yourself without an exit strategy. You might not be ready tonight. That's fine. The feeling has been waiting for years. It can wait one more day. But if something in the last 15 minutes made your chest tight, or your eyes sting, or your brain go quiet for a second, then part of you is ready. And that part doesn't need more information, or another video, or a better app. It needs 90 seconds of honesty. Just 90. Your phone isn't the cage. It's the key you keep using to lock yourself inside. Put it down, not to free yourself from the screen, but to finally sit with the person behind it. If you're willing, drop one word in the comments. The feeling you think is behind your scrolling. Just one honest word. If you're not ready to say it publicly, say it to yourself. That counts too. And if this cracked something open you weren't expecting, subscribe. I make content for people who are tired of treating symptoms and ready to look at what's underneath. Go find the feeling. It's been waiting.